This might be the most evil looking symbol ever made. Pentagrams, Latin names. It looks like something you probably shouldn't mess with. It's one of those images I've seen a million times but never really understood. It's called the Sigillum Dei, which means God's seal. I've always wanted to draw it, but before I could, I thought I'd better look into this to find out exactly what I'm messing with here. So the first place I looked was a book from the 13th century called the Sworn Book of Honorius, or in Latin, Liber Juratus Honori. In that book, Sigillum Dei is described as a gateway to the vision of God, and it gives very specific instructions on how to draw it. And to be honest, I can understand why this symbol is seen as evil after reading these instructions. So you were supposed to draw it using the blood of a bat, and it had to be drawn on virgin parchment, so paper made from an animal that has never mated. Not exactly my usual art supplies. The seal itself was made of 2 concentric circles with the extended name of God, which has 72 letters. Inside of that, there's a pentagram, a heptagram, 3 heptagons nested inside each other, and each line carried divine names. The 7 sides represented the 7 planets. At the time, there were only 7 planets because Earth wasn't considered a planet, and the sides also represented the ruling archangels of those planets. And there was even measurements for the diagram. It had to be just right. The outer circle had to be as wide as 3 grains of barley, and the whole design would be about 9 digits across, so 9 fingers wide. On every side of the heptagon, 7 letters had to be written. 7 sides, 7 letters each, 49 divisions in total. So this was never drawn as artwork. It was meant to be a ritual act, and when performed correctly, the seal would open a spiritual vision of the divine realm, and you would have a pure experience. Kind of sounds like early psychedelics, doesn't it? The next book I picked up was called The Magic Seal of Dr. John Dee by Colin D. Campbell. In this book it tells how, a few centuries later, the English mathematician and astrologer to the Queen, Dr. John Dee, found the Sworn Book of Honorius, and it's safe to say that he became a bit obsessed with the diagram of the Sigillum Dei. He set out to re-engineer the medieval symbol with mathematical precision. He called his version the Sigillum Dei Ameth, which means God's seal of truth, and instead of drawing it on parchment, he cast it in wax, pure white wax. It had to be poured into a disc 9 inches across and just over an inch thick. But why was he changing it from the original instructions? Well, he believed he could communicate with angels, and they were the ones who told him exactly how to construct it. On top of changing it from using blood and animal parchment, he changed the name of God from 72 letters to 40, but besides that, the structure stayed the same. He was just giving it new logic. Where Honorius used symbolic repetition, Dee built it into a mathematical language. He organised the names of God and the archangels into a 7x7 table, 49 positions that generated whole families of new angelic names, and from this planetary square, Dee could derive every name that appears on the seal. Each of the 7 sides corresponded to one planet, and each planet governed one row of that table. And Dee claimed that he didn't invent any of this. He said all of the instructions were dictated to him through his crystal ball by angels. The wax seal of the Sigillum Dei sat beneath the crystal and 4 smaller ones were placed under the legs of his table. This was to keep the angelic forces steady. And according to his diary, it worked. He and his assistant/medium, Edward Kelly, recorded long conversations with beings they believed were celestial intelligences. Some of these sessions sound inspiring, and others just sound a little unhinged. But either way, the two of them came up with a really nice diagram that stands apart. It's a diagram of the structure of creation. Now obviously I just wanted to draw the symbol. I'm not looking to do the whole ritual of it, cast it in wax and everything. I'm just interested in the geometry of it. I didn't use any bat's blood or anything like that. So apparently this wouldn't work even if I wanted it to. So there's nothing to worry about there. But that still leaves the question, is it bad or good? So most assume it's diabolical, but according to the sworn book of Honorius, where it first appears, it was meant as a holy seal. It was meant to be made only by someone who was pure, after fasting, prayer, and confession. It's described as the vision of God himself, and it was used to invoke angels, not demons, and to bring the magician into the presence of divine light. When John Dee adopted it 3 centuries later, his purpose was the same. He saw it as a kind of divine instrument, a map of creation built from sacred number and geometry, the language of the universe. He never used it for curses or conjurations. It was purely a foundation for angelic communication. In fact, Dee was so careful about its holiness, that's why it was cast in pure white wax and placed beneath a crystal as a symbol of purity. According to his notes, the angels he spoke to called it a seal of the truth of God, whereon no evil spirit may set his foot. It was supposed to protect against corruption, to seal a space so only truthful spirits could enter. And it represents the way divine order flows through the planets, the angels, and finally into us. So despite its appearance and its reputation, this is not a demonic symbol, and there's no darkness to it. And it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? If you want to learn how to draw this yourself, join the Geometers Circle. There's a link below.